Man, who knew that these wildfires would be so wild, huh? I mean, I guess that's why they call them wildfires. Anyway, it's crazy. I thought I was all ready to talk about the Gulf of America, and then all of a sudden, the wildfires just became totally out of control. Crazy. The Santa Ana winds blowing flames all over LA, all over Hollywood, all over Pacific Palisades, and a lot of people, tens of thousands of people now, fleeing their homes. They're leaving. They're getting out of there, and it's crazy to think about. You know, I've never been in an area of the country where wildfires were a thing. But just to see the photos, to see the devastation, to see what's happening to these people. I mean, I imagine that, look, hurricanes are scary. Hurricanes are scary, but you can prepare for them. You know, 7 days out that there's going to be a hurricane coming. Tornadoes, also scary, and they don't have a lot of, there's really zero time to prepare for a hurricane. Snowstorms, Snowmageddon's going on. We all know that the snow is going to come around eventually. But what we're seeing in California, these wildfires, and I guess wildfires that happen anywhere, I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's one of the scariest things. I think that's one of the scariest things anyone could ever experience, and it is wild what's going on out there in California. So we pray for everybody, and we're gonna bring you some crazy. I mean, there's crazy footage. There's crazy footage from California. There's people that are locked in their homes and they're taking photos and they can't get out. There's video of a guy and his dog. He was in his house surrounded by flames, couldn't get out. So of course he posted on social media, which, a lot of people are like, why is this guy posting on social media? Why isn't he trying to leave? I'm going to be honest with you. That would be literally my first reaction. When I see an alligator in the front yard, my first reaction isn't, where are the kids? Where are the dogs? My first reaction is, where's my phone? So I totally get that whole idea of what's happening. And the citizen journalist is important. That's how the rest of us really know the dire circumstances that are going on in a lot of places. Citizen journalists are responsible for a lot of the news stories that we get these days and for destroying the mainstream media. So all hail citizen journalists. And I mark myself among those. Like I said, we're going to get to those in just a minute. Donald Trump had an epic press conference yesterday. Totally. It was one. I never realized how much I missed Donald Trump press conferences until they were gone. And even then, I didn't realize how much I missed them because, let's be honest, the Joe Biden press conferences were kind of entertaining in their own right, in a different way. Joe Biden's press conferences were entertaining in a totally different way. You would sit on the edge of your seat and you'd be like, oh my God, what's he going to say that's going to embarrass himself and the entire country? Oh my God, what's he going to flub? What dumb thing is this guy going to do? Is he going to fall? Is he going to trip? Is he going to say something racist? All of the above? Is he going to call somebody by the wrong name? Is he going to try to say kleptocracy unsuccessfully? What is it? Is he going to mess up the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence or the words to Happy Birthday? Oh, I can't wait. That was the excitement about watching Joe Biden press conferences. The excitement about watching Donald Trump press conferences is similar but different. Because Donald Trump gets up there and you go, what's he going to do? What's he going to say? Who's he going to totally tick off? What crazy thing is going to come out of his mouth that people are going to be like, what is he even thinking? But then as we sit back and we think about it, we go, it's actually not a bad idea. Greenland, that should be part of the United States of America. Gulf of America, I'm all about that. The Panama Canal, why does China own that these days? What is going on here? So we've got a lot to unpack with the Donald Trump press conference. And then speaking of Joe Biden, man, we knew this guy was the worst president ever, but it turns out not only that, he's like the worst person who ever existed. This guy is truly an evil villain. And we'll cover all that here. We'll cover all that here in just a minute. But first, I did want to say thank you very much to a lot of people who've been sending me well wishes. It's been kind of a crazy week. I was all ready on January 6th to come back rip roaring and ready to go. You know how I got my whole business plan ready. Here's my whole business plan for 2025. How we're going to grow Patriot Media, how we're going to grow our podcasts, how we're going to grow our influence and our power over the world. The new golden age is happening, folks. It's almost here. We are 13 days away from the inauguration, and when Donald Trump comes back, so does all of the greatness and all of the opportunity and all of the economic opportunity. A lot of opportunity is coming back on January 20th, and I've got to be prepared, as a business owner, as a podcaster, as somebody who's responsible for stuff I got to be prepared. So I spent all this time preparing. I spent the entire break, really the entire month of December, preparing for January. We had 1 week where I came in, I was like, all right, here's what we're going to go. And then January 6th, I knew was Patriot Day, a big, important day in American history, the certification of the ballots for Donald Trump, making Donald Trump the next president of the United States. And then we're going to go slide right on into the inauguration. So I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. And then all of a sudden, boom, Saturday afternoon, I got just slammed, just bam, just kapowed. I thought I had allergies because I was cleaning out the garage. And, you know, that when I clean out the garage, it's A, because my wife says you have to go clean out the garage. And then B, what happens is, you know, I like to go in there. I like to sweep up, and I like to make sure that, you know, everything's in place. I want to make sure that everything's where it should be, and I want to make sure that it's clean. And so I'm sweeping up and I'm getting all the dust out of there. And then I realize I start sneezing, and I'm like, oh, it's the dust. And then I make my wife feel guilty because she's like, why are you sneezing? I go, probably because somebody made me clean the garage and it's all dusty. But then when I woke up Sunday, I realized it wasn't allergies. It was just something horrible. And I was laid out probably all of Sunday. I rested up so that Monday I could come in and at least do the Marquez Saves the Republic. And we had a great time. I went back and I read the comments, and you guys had some really funny comments about how I looked like an alcoholic because my nose was all red, or I looked like a drunk, or it was Rudolph the Red-Nosed podcast host, I think was one of them. It was very, you guys are, I read the comments, just so you know. Just because I don't always comment live to the comments, I do go back and read the comments, and I appreciate you. You know, I blew my nose a couple times. People were disgusted by that, but hey, you got to do what you got. It's live, right? You can't really fake live. Unless you're AOC or Joe Biden. Anyway, so that was, but anyway, I'm feeling better today. My voice still sounds a little weird, but I do feel a lot better, and we're able to do the show. And then tomorrow we'll be back with the 47 Daily as well. So a lot of big stuff going on, but thank you. I did just want to say thank you, and I appreciate all the well wishes. My hat, by the way, I wanted to share with you. So because the inauguration is coming up on January 20th, and because the inauguration is in Washington, D.C., I have plans to go there. My wife and I are going to go take a trip. We're going to go to the inauguration. It's going to be so much fun. And we managed to get a hotel, which was crazy. We got some tickets, which was awesome. And so now what we're doing is we're planning out, you know, where are we going to eat? Where are we going to stay? Can we get into an inaugural ball? That kind of thing. And we, for Christmas, I got a whole bunch of MAGA hats. I got the black and gold MAGA hat. Pardon me. I got the silver one, the dark MAGA. I got one that says 47 in big gold letters. And I was like, this is great. I can wear these to the inauguration. I can wear them all around DC. And then slowly but surely it dawned on both of us that it's going to be frigidly cold, like beyond cold. It's going to be like Greenland cold in Washington, D.C. It's freezing now. There was massive snow over the week. You know, a lot of these Congress people had to trudge through inches of snow to go certify the ballots for Donald Trump on Monday. But anyway, it's going to continue. There's this massive cold front that's happening in Washington, D.C. So I realized I'm not going to be able to wear any of these hats because I'm bald and I'll get hypothermia. So look, my wife found me this hat, which is great. It's a padded, well, not padded, but it's got the fur inside of it. It's like a toque, and it's got the United States of America. And on the side here, it says 45-47, which is great. And it says Trump. So I'll be wearing this instead. But and I have to tell you, I've been wearing it all day. It's like hugging my head. It's like a nice warm hug for my bald head. And I really do love it. I really do appreciate that. So anyway, well, more on that coming up. And of course, we will be live. But Inauguration Day, I'll be sitting. We won't have a live show that day because I'll be sitting in the frigid cold on the mall watching President Donald Trump get sworn in at noon. But again, you wouldn't be watching me anyway. You'd be watching President Trump get sworn in at noon. But I will be live on that Tuesday to bring you all the updates and share with you what the experience was like and every other day that week. So very exciting stuff. All right. Let's get to this fire, though, real quick, because this fire is crazy. This fire is nutso. This is footage I found on the internet from Pacific Palisades, which is north of LA. Look at this. You can tell these are wealthy neighborhoods because of the gate, right? There's a gate and there's a big circular, there's like a fountain, it looks like. And, you know, it's tragic when anyone's home goes up, but this just goes to show you that no matter what your zip code, you can't escape the fire sometimes. Nature knows no boundary when it comes to zip codes. That's got to be a multi-million-dollar neighborhood, and it's not just this house; it's every house on that street that was apparently on fire. If you look here, there's this was the video. This guy, I heard that someone told me he escaped, but I don't know for sure. This guy's in his home in LA, and he's with somebody else and a dog. And look at this. This is what he taped from inside his home. I mean, the wind, the flames, the embers. It's crazy. This is where you live. Look at that. And he's coughing because there's probably smoke coming in.
Hi. Just be okay.
I mean, the dog's
okay?
freaking out. The dog's like, "What are we doing
okay?
here?" Dog's like, "We should probably leave."
Oh shit.
Oh, I apologize for the language, but I mean, I have to imagine that those are the kinds of things you're going to say in that kind of situation. I mean, these are flames that are 20, 30 feet high over his home, coming over I guess it's the valley back there. And I imagine there's only one way to escape, out the front door and down the road. But this is what it's been like for pretty much every resident of California, or of the Pacific Palisades region. And like I said, I hear that this guy got out. I can't confirm that. And hopefully the dog did as well. There's the guy in an airplane, just to kind of give you an idea of what it looked like. This was the aerial view. This guy's landing at LAX in an airplane, and he takes some video footage out of his window. I mean, look at this. If you're in an airplane, you know this is a massive amount of, it's so many, thousands and thousands of acres. I heard Jack Mack from Barstool Sports reported that 3 football fields, like the length of 3 football fields, burn every minute. That's that's another thing. People like to use a football field as an example, so I'll use it as well. But I mean, it's just crazy. This is from an airplane, and that is, as you can tell, a massive, just miles and miles and miles of damage there in LA. There's another one. This is really sad. There was an old folks home, or like a retirement community, or a hospital. I don't know what. I think it was like an elderly hospital, and they had to evacuate the victims so quickly that they couldn't grab their stuff. They basically woke these people up. They're in their bedclothes. They threw them in whatever wheelchairs they could find, and they rushed them down the street. Look at this. And the winds, I mean, look at those winds. Those are like 60, 70 mile per hour winds. These poor people were in bed. Now they're on the street, and whatever hospital workers they could find, whatever volunteers they could find, I think they ended up in a parking lot. I don't know where they are now. But I mean, think about this. These are elderly. These are like grandparents and great grandparents. And you put them in one of these hospitals thinking that they're going to be taken care of. But then all of a sudden this fire comes by, and shout out, by the way, to all the workers who were able to get those people to safety. Gavin Newsome, of course, took the opportunity to, get a photo op. Here he is looking at the fires in his cool guy shades with his hands in his back pocket. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Not a good look. Sitting around with your hands in your back pockets, not a good look for the chief executive, I would say, right? This is not a guy who's like hands-on. This is a guy who's got his hands in his back pockets, looking around going, this sucks. I mean, what? Come on, you're the governor. This is your domain. These are the people that elected you. And then when they had the opportunity to kick your butt out, they didn't. I don't know why. And now he's just standing there. In fact, Donald Trump misses no opportunity to remind people just how bad a leader Gavin Newsome is. He posted on Truth Social, Governor Gavin Newsome refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snowmelt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. No joke, by the way. That's the first person I've heard describe it as apocalyptic, but that's exactly what it is. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt. By giving it less water, it didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. He is to blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants, not firefighting planes. A true disaster. Now, there is an interesting twist to this. It's true that there's not enough water in California. There hasn't been enough water in California for a very long time. And it's true that the reason is environmental reasons, which, I don't know how I'm not a liberal. I'm not one of these left-leaning socialist whack job, nut job lunatics. So I don't really understand the way things work in their minds. But not bringing water into California to protect the environment doesn't make sense to me, especially when, you see what happens to the environment. You see what happens to the environment when you don't have enough water. It just goes up in flames. And the smoke and the debris and the ash and the carcinogens, I can't imagine that's good for the environment. Not to mention all the people who voted for you that live there. So for environmental reasons, he didn't allow all of this water to come down, and California has been gasping. I mean, anyone who lives in California or has lived in California or knows anyone who lives in California knows that there are water restrictions on mowing your lawn, on washing your car. I mean, there's droughts and there's all kinds of horrible water management in that state. And all of it is, again, it trickles down, so to speak, no pun intended, from the top of the heap, which is Gavin Newsome. And Donald Trump's like, look, this is exactly what happens. You go to turn on the fire hydrant and there's no water. And that is irresponsible. There's no reason for it. And, you know, you hate to, I don't want to say the people of California have themselves to blame, but strong leadership is important, especially in a place like California. Especially in an economy as large as California, with as many opportunities for, I mean, look, it's not just wildfires. There's earthquakes. There's all kinds of different things that happen in California. You need somebody who's capable and competent when it comes to emergency management, and also somebody who's capable and competent when it comes to emergency prevention. And capable and competent are not two. They're not two words that. They're not two words that fall into, the description of Gavin Newsome. They're not in his vocabulary. They're not in his vocabulary at all. And the planes, the planes apparently last night, the winds got so strong that the planes couldn't even fly. My uncle, I guess my aunt's husband, would that be my uncle? Yeah, I guess my aunt's husband. I guess I'll say uncle. My uncle flies those planes. He flies planes all up and down the West Coast. They lived in Vancouver, Canada, where there was a lot of need for forest fire planes and that kind of thing. And he would always be coming into California, flying down the coast, doing these missions and things like that. They've since moved to Idaho because Canada. But he's still out there flying, and he'll tell you, you go in there, you fly, you dump all this water. It looks like nothing's happening. You go back, you refuel, you load up on water, you go dump some more. And it's crazy. It takes so many of these missions to get these things done. And then when you ground the planes, forget about it. I mean, the thing about it, if it's too windy for the planes to fly and accurately, dump, because if you dump the water and there's wind, it's just going to go. It's not going to do any good. So if it's that windy, then you know that the wind is so strong that these fires are just going to rage over and over again. I did want to show you James Woods. James Woods is an actor and Trump supporter. A lot of people know James Woods and follow him on social media because he is, well, let's just say he's based, if you will. James Woods knows what's up. James Woods is a conservative. He's one of the few conservatives in Hollywood who still gets to work. But his house, we believe, has been destroyed now. But he started yesterday, 21 hours ago. He started posting these videos from his home, a couple of them while he was still there. I think this one he was still there. And you can see there's just smoke coming up off he's standing on his deck, and of course they're built on hills. So as you go up the hill, he can see the smoke coming over. He knows the fire's close by, and he posted that 21 hours ago. Then he comes back 21 hours ago again, and he sees that one of the homes...
We've got a lot of planes going over.
Oh, look, here we go.
Standing in my driveway, getting ready to evacuate.
Okay, so he's getting ready to evacuate. He sees that the homes above him have now caught fire, and he knows that it's only a matter of time before the flames reach his area or his household. So he's standing there getting ready to evacuate. He's still posting on X.
Standing in my driveway, getting ready to evacuate. We've got a lot of planes going over, dropping water, but...
Yeah, and that was back before the planes were grounded, dropping water. And he said, you can hear him, he goes, there's a lot of planes flying, they're dropping a lot of water, but, there's only so much you can do. Yeah, I apologize for that. I mean, you got to excuse some of the language in this. I mean, I can't catch everything. And in this situation, I think it's warranted. Here he is again. I believe he's on his way out. This is from his pool deck. He's standing there and he sees more smoke. Wait, where did it go? He sees more smoke. He sees more flames. And what people were doing was they were just spraying water all over their decks. A lot of people have pumps that empty the pool water. When it acts kind of like their own fire hydrant, which is good because there's no water in the actual fire hydrants. He wrote 20 hours ago, we were blessed to have LA Fire and Police Departments doing their job so well. We are safe and out. There are several elementary schools in our neighborhood, and there was an enormous community effort to evacuate the children safely. Cannot speak more highly of the LA Fire and LAPD. So he's out there saying, look, the LA Fire, the LAPD, they're doing their job. They're getting everyone evacuated. This is a video of his deck. I think he had somebody go by and check his house because it's not him. It's definitely someone else's voice. But listen to this. You can see the flames.
You're looking good. Your house is not on fire, but it's... I'm here in case some embers land on it. I hope all your windows are closed.
By the way, I don't know who that is. I don't know how much you have to pay somebody because he's saying your house is not on fire, but there are flames. He's standing on the deck by the pool. There's another guy out here to the right in the corner. I don't know if you can see him, but there's flame, like 20, 30-foot flames leaping up over the deck, licking it like his retention wall. And whoever this is like, I'm at your house. You're looking good. Your house isn't on fire, which is such an LA thing to say. He giggles. He goes, but I'm here in case some embers fall on it.
You're looking good. Your house is not on fire, but it's... I'm here in case some embers land on it. I hope all your windows are closed.
I mean, that is definitely an optimistic guy. Then he started posting video and footage from his security cameras where he saw... I mean, this has got to be devastating too. You're famous, rich, whatever. I don't care. If you've got a home and you've built it and you've made it into a house and it's where you live and it's where you have memories, it doesn't matter who you are. Republican, Democrat, I don't care. You're looking at your security camera and you see fire creeping up toward your home and you're powerless to stop it. 2 houses from me, he writes, and he posts a photo or a video rather of a house that is engulfed in flames, two doors down. And at this point, you have to think to yourself, there's no escape. There's no, I mean, I'm out, I'm safe, and that's what's important, but he has to imagine that his house is one of the next to go. 17 hours ago, he wrote, to all the wonderful people who have reached out to us, thank you for being so concerned. Just letting you know that we were able to evacuate successfully. I do not know at this moment if our home is still standing, but sadly, houses on our little street are not. James Woods wrote 17 hours ago, just been informed our next door neighbor's house is on fire. Fortunately, they were safely evacuated. We cleared and built pathways on our hillside with sprinkler systems that could be remotely managed. We also did brush clearance per local fire prevention mandates. I'm hoping it has done some good. It's hard to beat the winds this time of year, though, if someone is careless. Sarah's 8-year-old niece offered her Yeti piggy bank to help us. Some things will make a grown man cry. That's very nice. Then he's just been posting and posting and posting. 9 hours ago, he wrote, all the smoke detectors are going off in our house and transmitting to our iPhones. I couldn't believe our lovely little home in the hills held on this long. It feels like losing a loved one. So it appears that James Woods did indeed lose his house. Then he started getting political and he started talking about how it wasn't from climate change. I won't read those because he gets a little salty. Okay, well, I'll read a little bit of it. Lucifer tweets, I don't know if it's the actual Lucifer, wrote, the irony of James Woods, known for his skepticism about climate change, losing his home to the very wildfires linked to climate change impacts in California is striking. To which James Woods responded, this fire is not from climate change, you ignorant person. Although he had a different word. It's because liberal idiots like you elect liberal idiots like Gavin, Newsome, and Karen Bass. One doesn't understand the first thing about fire management, and the other can't fill the water reserves. Karen Bass, by the way, is the mayor. Is she the mayor? Yeah, the mayor of LA. She was, if you're wondering, in Ghana at the time of the fires. So she was in Ghana. I don't know what she was doing in Ghana, but she wasn't there. She was Ghana. Everyone's like, where's Karen Bass? Is she in LA? Nope, she's Ghana. And then Gavin Newsome, as we reported earlier, was there. He was there putting his hands in his back pocket, surveying, if you will, the landscape for, I don't know what reason. What really is, explain to me, I'm going to just play this one more time. If anyone can explain to me what Gavin Newsome is really doing here, other than posing for photos, please tell me. He's got his tight jeans on. He's got his I'm a politician in a crises puffy vest. Because that's the thing. I don't know what it is about politicians. Whenever there's a crisis, they put on a vest. They put on like a puffy vest. That's one of the things. I guess that's the new thing. You know, here in Florida, when we had Rick Scott, when Rick Scott was our governor, he always wore his Navy hat. You knew that if Rick Scott from Florida came on TV wearing a blue denim shirt and his Navy hat, dude, time to go. You better get out. Governor Ron DeSantis, same thing. He wears his like official, it looks like a naval jacket, but it's got the seal of the great state of Florida on it. If you see Governor DeSantis on TV in his a Navy jacket, time to book, man. You got to bolt. You got to get out of there. That's the thing. Whenever there's a politician in casual wear, it's a bad scene. And there's Gavin Newsome in his puffy vest. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, we pray for everyone in California. Like I said, politics aside, we don't want anything bad to happen to anybody anytime. We want Gavin Newsome out of there. We want these people to have solid leadership. There's a lot of great people in California who are held to they have their, they're at the mercy of these blue cities, these sanctuary cities that are just massively overpopulated with liberals that dictate the politics of the entire society. And as Donald Trump will tell you, that's bad. It's bad when Governor Gavin Newsome, who was this close to being recalled. And if you're listening to the podcast, I'm holding my thumb and my index finger about as close together as possible without them touching. He was that close to getting recalled, but he had rich friends and powerful friends, and Nancy Pelosi, his aunt, came in and bailed him out, and he remained governor. And now the people in California are all paying the price. All right, let's talk a little bit about some people in a different part of the world. Let me have a sip of my tea quickly, though, because I want to just make sure I can continue. I got to soothe my throat a little bit, continue talking for the next 30 or 40 minutes. Let's talk a little bit about people in other parts of the world. Donald Trump had a press conference yesterday. And, I wrote earlier today in the Patriot Dispatch, which, by the way, if you don't get the Patriot Dispatch, markkaye.com, sign up for it because it's amazing. And I do know that sounds a little egomaniacal, but when I sit down and I get to writing, I come up with some really great stuff. And I know that because people tell me. So make sure you go to markkaye.com to sign up for the Patriot Dispatch. It comes out usually every day, unless I'm under the weather or traveling or just, forget. But today I sent one out. And basically, the point is I missed the Donald Trump press conferences and I didn't realize how much until yesterday when Donald Trump held a press conference. And I was laying in bed, drinking tea, had my tissues in one hand, and I'm watching this press conference, and it made me feel better. It actually made me feel better. I don't know how Donald Trump does it, but just watching him talk live from Mar-a-Lago to these reporters. And it wasn't just the stuff he said about, annexing Canada or taking back the Panama Canal or buying Greenland or all these other great things. It was from the get-go, the reason for the press conference, or the reason he started, was to make another announcement about a massive investment in the United States of America by a guy named Hussein something foreign sounding. Hussein something or other. I forget his name. I should probably, wait, I think I have it here. Oh, here it is. Hussein Sajwani, a Trump associate and founder of the property development company Damak Properties, is pledging $20 billion in foreign investment. And I believe this guy basically just builds luxury hotels and apartment buildings, which is great because you want luxury hotels and apartment buildings. That means that a lot of people with a lot of money are going to come in and buy them. But listen to what he said. This is very important. It isn't just that he said he's putting billions of dollars into the United States of America. Listen to this.
It's been amazing news for me and my family when he was elected in November. We've been waiting 4 years to increase our investments in U.S. to a very large amount of money. We are a company operating in more than 20 countries around the world. We have delivered more than 45,000 luxury units and another 45,000 in the pipeline. In data center, we are in 10 countries around the world, in Asia, Europe, and Middle East. And we're very, very excited now with his leadership and his open strategy and policy to encourage businesses to come to U.S.
Okay, listen to what he said. He said, I'm very excited. For me and my family, we've been waiting 4 years for this. Meaning, this guy saw 4 years ago when Donald Trump lost the election and Joe Biden won the election. He saw 4 years ago, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. I'm not putting my $20 billion in the United States of America. We're going to wait. We're going to wait 4 years. We're going to wait for Donald Trump to come back, and then we're going to invest. And he said, here's a guy from the Middle East or wherever he's from. And he says, look, we invest in all these countries all over the globe, Asia and India and all over in Europe. And we were going to invest $20 billion in the United States of America. But then here comes Joe Biden. And we're like, oh, put it in the bank for 4 years. And on November 5th, these people, these billionaire investors were cheering He and his family cheering because, oh, thank God Donald Trump's coming back. We can invest in America again. And that's just one billionaire. How many other billionaires were out there thinking the same thing? That's why our economy is so bad. If you were a billionaire and you were looking to invest in the United States of America, investing during Joe Biden's time in office, that would have been flushing your money down the toilet. And billionaires don't like to flush their money down the toilet, even though their toilets are gold-plated, as we all know. We've seen the one in Trump Tower. But he said, we've been waiting 4 years.
It's been amazing news for me and my family when he was elected in November. We've been waiting 4 years to increase our investments in U.S.
I mean, that's an amazing testament to Donald Trump and just the worst slap in the face to Joe Biden. Because foreign investors did not invest in this country for one reason and one reason only. Joe Biden was the president. And now that Donald Trump's back and he's making it easier for these investors to come in and he's deregulating these investments and he's making it easier for them to build whatever it is they want to build and find American workers, and American workers will be taxed less and more people want to come here. All of a sudden, boom, we've got money rolling in from everywhere. And he and his family are pledging $20 billion, probably more, in the next 4 years, because Donald Trump has a way of getting more money out of people. Here's Trump talking about it.
On January 20th, we'll turn the economy around very quickly, because right now when I think of our economy, I think about inflation. That's what we have. We have inflation, I believe, at a level that we never had before. There's never been anything like it. And over the next 4 years, the United States is going to take off like a rocket ship. But really, it's already doing it. If you take a look, just last month, SoftBank announced the $200 billion. I think it'll be 200. He said between 100, and I said, how about making it 200? And he sort of said yes, but let's say it's 100, but it might be 200, right, Brian? Dollars, United States, creating more than 100,000 jobs. Hussein just announced a tremendous investment that he's going to make, and that's money that's in the bank. He's going to come and do it, and he'll do a great job, and he'll build the best centers in the country, I guarantee, because I know the way he builds. Since my election, the stock market has set records. The S&P 500 index has broken above 6,000 points for the first time ever, never even close. In a single month, small business optimism soared 41 points. It's not a 41. It went up 41 points. And that's the largest in the 39-year history of the group that does it. According to Gallup, the American people's confidence in the economy has just surged to the highest.
This is all based on one man getting elected president. Elections have consequences. That's what people say. The consequence of Donald Trump getting elected to be president of the United States for the next 4 years have amazing consequences for us, for our economy, for our military, for our borders, for our safety, for everything, for the cost of everything that you're going to be spending money on. All of that based on the guy who won the election. Now, think about that. If elections have consequences and the consequences of Donald Trump getting elected are so great, the consequences of Joe Biden or someone like him getting elected were so bad. I mean, it is really, hopefully this is a wake-up call for all future generations. That party, that politics, that, whatever social justice war, whatever war you're fighting when it comes to your pronouns or your right to be trans or marry whoever you want, those things take a back seat to the security, the sanctity, and the economic stability of our country. And if you want to live a solid life happily and, be whatever you want to be, you're going to need to do it in a place where A, you're safe enough to do it, and B, you've got enough money in your pocket. And Donald Trump's election has made it safer, and he's bringing down prices. In fact, one of the questions, so after he made his big announcement, he opened it up to questions, and it took like an hour's worth of questions, which was amazing. A lot of them were about Greenland, which we'll talk about in just a minute. A lot of them were about the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America, which we'll discuss here in just a minute. But one of them, when someone asked, how are you going to bring down gas prices, and food prices and everything else? Because you said it was going to be something you would do, but then you said it would be difficult. Here's what he said.
It's always hard to bring down prices when somebody else has screwed something up like they did, but we'll bring them down. We'll get them down. Energy is going to bring down prices. We're going to have a lot of energy, and energy is what brought it up. Energy and their bad spending is what brought it up, and energy is going to bring it down. We're going to have prices down. I think you're going to see some pretty drastic price reductions. As an example, food, bacon, ham, apples, everything has gone through the roof. It's one of the reasons I won. So as you know, I said it, inflation was one of the reasons I won, but I think the biggest reason I won was the fact that they are allowing prisoners to come into our country They released their prisoners, their murderers. Thousands of murderers are now walking around the streets of our cities and farmland all over. Murders, people that have killed. Many, 32% have killed more than one person. They released them from their jails, their prisons, and their mental institutions and insane asylums into our country. I believe that's the reason we got such a large vote.
I mean, there's a lot of it. People want more money and they don't want to get killed when they walk to the store to spend it. I mean, I'm down with that. I'll be like, yes, give me more of my money. And when I go to the store to spend it, I don't want to be killed by some kind of Tren de Aragua gangster thug. You know, I want my kids to be able to make money enough to buy a house, and I don't want them to feel threatened whenever they go into into a downtown area by some kind of illegal immigrant who was released from a high security prison in El Salvador because they murdered people for a living. I don't want that. Call me crazy, but that's not the America that I dreamed of. And Donald Trump knows that. And he says, look, it's the prices of things. That's what's going to happen. And Joe Biden is fighting him tooth and nail. In fact, Joe Biden, this is why Joe Biden is not just the worst president, but one of the worst people ever. Because Joe Biden, for 4 years, has just dilapidated America. He's tried to, I mean, if we were a building, we'd be close to condemnation. Donald Trump left office. Joe Biden came in and immediately, whether it was good for the country or bad for the country, immediately started undoing all of Donald Trump's executive orders. For example, remain in Mexico, which was good for America. It kept Americans safe. It kept immigrants safe. It kept the illegals safe. Remain in Mexico was a solid policy, one that Joe Biden recently reinstated, but on day one, got rid of it. He got rid of every policy, whether it was good or not. He didn't even care. He said, bring me all the Donald Trump policies, all the Donald Trump executive orders, and we're just going to undo them. They stopped building the border wall and they started selling it off. And a judge just had to stop them. They were selling it for 5 cents on a dollar. That is irresponsible. That's un-American. That's unpatriotic. And what Joe Biden did with these drilling, the other day he passed a moratorium on drilling on thousands and thousands of acres offshore in the Gulf Coast and Florida and other places of the United States of America, where there is so much oil, so much crude oil that Donald Trump has pledged to drill, baby, drill. That was one of the foundations of his winning campaign. That's what helped him defeat Joe Biden so soundly. Drill, baby, drill. And Joe Biden, in a slap to the face into every American, because look, the majority of America voted for drill, baby, drill. The majority of America voted for Donald Trump to open up drilling. The majority of America wants to tap into our natural resources to make this country rich again. That's what we told everybody on election day. We walked to the polls and 76 million people said, we want this. And Joe Biden knows that. And he knows that Donald Trump is going to be doing the work of the people, the will of the people. And Joe Biden, as president of the United States on his way out the door, is making it difficult as possible. He's basically trying to stop Donald Trump from executing the orders of the American people. And he's the president for 13 more days. He's the guy who's supposed to be helping America. Instead, he's making it harder for us to get what we told him we wanted. Why? Because he's a horrible, terrible, evil, no good, very bad person. Because he only cares about himself. Because he's egomaniacal. Because his ego, he's butthurt. And here's the problem. He's not just hurt because he thinks that he lost the election. He didn't even run. He got booted out by his own party. He's mad at the Democrats. He's mad at Americans for picking Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. He's mad that he doesn't get 4 more years to cover up his crimes and get some more money from China, whatever it is he's been doing in the White House. He's mad that he has to pay for his own Jenny's chocolate chip ice cream now. He's so mad and butthurt. He hates America. He hates Americans. He hates Donald Trump most of all. And he's going to do everything he can in the next 13 days to show you that. And it's reprehensible. Ted Cruz was on Fox. Ted Cruz is all fired up. I mean, it doesn't take much to get Ted Cruz fired up. Just point a camera at him and say Biden, and he'll go.
I've never seen an outgoing president behave with such utter contempt for the American people and the voters and democracy the way Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are doing. They know there was a clear mandate in November. They know that the voters want to change course. And yet Joe Biden is like a bitter old man saying, screw the voters. I'm going to stick you with terrible policies. And he's trying to do everything he can to tie the hands of the incoming administration. 625 million acres set off limits for offshore drilling. I hope and expect Trump will reverse that on day one. But you look also at what Biden's doing. He's trying to auction off pieces of the border wall for $5 a section to get rid of them, just to waste taxpayer dollars. You look at the pardons he's granted, pardoning 37 or commuting the death sentences for 37 of the 40 prisoners on death row, simply to prevent President Trump from carrying out federal law and executing those prisoners, signing long-term contracts with unions saying you can stay home, you don't have to go to work, you don't have to show up at federal offices. Over and over again, they are sitting there, they are bitter, they are angry, they are in denial about the election, and frankly, they have utter contempt for the voters who said, we want to change direction. Joe Biden and the Democrats want to do everything they can to keep on the same failed path that the voters just rejected.
Yeah, what he said. What he said, every word of it. That's exactly what he's doing. It's contempt. It's spite. It's ridiculous. It's petty. It's Joe Biden to a T. That is Joe Biden. He described Joe Biden perfect. I couldn't have described Joe Biden better myself. And that is ridiculous that he's doing that on the way out the door, but also not wholly unexpected. Donald Trump, by the way, is planning for the next great golden age of America. He's planning for this new great golden age of America. And for the first time ever, it involves, I don't want to say manifest destiny, but it involves growing the size of the country. And it's been a long time since any president has said, you know what? And they've looked around and said, you know what? It's time to expand. We haven't expanded since, when did Hawaii and Alaska become states? In the 40s? Something like, I don't know. It's been a while. It's been almost like 75 years since we expanded our nation. And we've had a lot of presidents who've just been content. They look around. Donald Trump comes in and goes, we need to add a wing. I mean, he's a real estate agent, so, that makes sense. He's always trying to build something. He's like, we'll build a west wing over here. We'll build a new tower over there. Let's turn the carport. Is the neighbor's house for sale? Maybe we could buy that. And that's what he's doing. He's already talked about Canada, some kind of economic contingency plan that would make Canada maybe the 51st state, or at least maybe some kind of united partner, much like the EU has. And that is something that people thought he was joking about. But think about what happened when Donald Trump called Canada the 51st state and offered the governorship to Trudeau. What happened? The people in Canada said, oh my God, we have to get rid of Trudeau. Because of Justin Trudeau, Donald Trump's going to make Canada the 51st state. And so they threw him out. They threw him out his own party. It's like, God, you're the weakest person we've ever seen around. You couldn't even stand up to Donald Trump, who's not even president yet, when he said we're going to turn the entire country into the 51st state. What did you do? Did you fight back? Did you fire back? No, he has no respect for you. Neither do we. And he's out. And now there are open conversations about some kind of economic union with Canada, which just makes perfect sense. And a lot of Canadians are all about it. Then there's Greenland. Greenland, which Donald Trump, people thought joked about buying Greenland the first time around. Conan O'Brien went out there, did a whole segment about it. Now Donald Trump's like, look, I'm not joking about Greenland. Greenland is an important piece of the puzzle. And he sent a contingent out to Nuuk. I think it's called Nuuk or Nuke. It's Nuuk or Nook. I don't know how you pronounce it. N-U-U-K is how you spell it. And he sent a contingent involving Donald Trump Jr., his son, and Charlie Kirk from TPUSA. And they took Trump Force One, landed on the icy cold tundra of Greenland, and rallied support for Greenland being purchased by the United States of America.
Okay, we're here in Greenland with Don Jr.
Everyone wants to be on TikTok.
What do you guys think of America?
Great.
Love America, and you love Trump?
Yes, of course.
The youth of Greenland, Don.
We're hearing a lot of it, guys. We're hearing a lot of it.
And you guys all watch TikTok, right?
Of course. I'll follow you.
Oh, thank you. Live from Greenland.
Look at that. And a plug for TikTok at the same time. Oh, I follow Charlie Kirk on TikTok. Well, follow me too. So they're in Greenland. They've got the kids there. They're all wearing MAGA hats, or as Don Jr. calls them, MAGA hats. MAGAs. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. He's Don Jr., so I'm not going to correct him, but I've never heard anyone else call them MAGA. Love the guy, but he calls them MAGA hats. It's like, but they're MAGA hats. That's how I always pronounced them. And they're in Greenland, and they're like, look, the people love us, and they want to be part of the United States of America, because right now they're part of Denmark, and Denmark doesn't really do anything with them. Denmark doesn't really need them. Denmark doesn't really like them. We had reports. I was watching this guy from Greenland saying, I went to Denmark once, and they treated me like a second-class citizen. They made fun of me. They laughed at me. It was almost like racism. Like they hate the people from Greenland and Denmark because they're like, oh yeah, we own you. Ha ha ha. shine my shoes, something like that. Like they mistreat. Could you imagine mistreating somebody from Greenland? Like, it wouldn't even dawn on me. But apparently, according to this one guy on the internet, that's what happens. So Donald Trump's like, let's buy it. And a lot of people, look, Jason Miller is one of Donald Trump's closest friends and allies, and he's one of the best spokespeople. Jason Miller explains things so perfect. I don't know how you could not debate Jason Miller on anything. If there's ever a question like, does Donald Trump really want to buy Greenland? Just ask Jason Miller, and he just reports on it perfect.
Finally, we have a president back in the White House, or soon to be in the White House. We have a couple more weeks until we actually get him there. I guess 13 more days if you're scoring at home. Who's taking that macro geopolitical viewpoint into both our national security and our national sovereignty, but also with our national economy, and also things such as how we're going to protect our borders. And keep in mind, the world's a much different place now than it was even 4 years ago or 8 years ago, going further back. The Arctic Circle, as we take a look at it, this is now a major shipping lane, and it's a place where we see the Russians becoming more aggressive. We see the Chinese becoming more aggressive. And so the world looks a lot different. And for the past 4 years, we've had a leader in the White House with Joe Biden who, to say that he's had his head in the sand would probably be a rather positive way of saying it. We've had just gross incompetence. So what President Trump is doing is saying, OK, let's look at the major security issues that we have. We need to have control of the Panama Canal, and that's we shouldn't have given it over in the first place. The president's been very consistent on that, talked about that even back during his first term. We also, Greenland is something that we should be controlling. And so there are a number of things that are in play here, both on security. Also keep in mind with regard to Canada, we are going to have some additional negotiations when it comes to the USMCA as the window for those negotiations are popping up to make sure that we're being protected, particularly with the U.S. auto industry. And so President Trump has been ready for this. He's been president before. He knows exactly what he wants to do on day one. And he's starting to put the chess pieces in place so he can look all these different things. And keep in mind,
Jason,
under President Trump, he's really used trade as a soft power to be able to move other countries to benefit American workers and the American economy.
All right. So there's Jason. Basically, he's saying, yeah, he's playing. Listen, Donald Trump was president for 4 years. He knew what he wanted to get done. He didn't get it all done. Then he had 4 years off. And what did he do in those 4 years? He planned. He spent 4 years planning the perfect people to put in place so that he could execute his vision in the fastest amount of time because he knew he'd only have 4 more years. He picked the perfect people to put in his cabinet and the perfect position to place them. Now he's back in office, not yet, but he's 13 days away. But in this transition, usually with the transition, they focus on getting the people confirmed. They focus on moving into the offices. They focus on meetings and stuff like that. Donald Trump doesn't need it. He's been president. He knows how it works. You don't need to show him where the photocopier is. He knows. He's been in the White House. So Donald Trump has been planning now since his reelection, okay, strategically, militarily, economically, how I'm ready to negotiate. I need to get pieces in place now. So that's why he's having these press conferences. That's why he's throwing these things out there. That's why he reiterated yesterday, by the way, that if Hamas does not release all of the hostages by January 20th, there will be hell to pay. And they asked him several times, what does that mean? He goes, it means there will be hell to pay. All hell will break loose, is what he said. All hell will break loose in the Middle East. January 20th is the drop dead date. Donald Trump doesn't have time to negotiate after he becomes president, so he's doing it before. He's saying, look, as soon as noon hits and I take my hand off of that Bible, I will have the full power of the United States military. And if those hostages have not been released by then, it's all raining down right on your faces. That's what he's telling Hamas. That's what he's telling Hezbollah. That's what he's telling the terrorists in the Middle East who invaded Israel on October 7th, took Americans, killed Israelis, killed everybody, and are still holding hostages now years later. He's not waiting till day one. He's like, on day one, I will destroy you. So that gives you 13 more days to get those hostages out of there. And he reiterated it yesterday. And Jason Miller said he's playing chess. This is why he's doing it. And he needs to let everybody know, by the way, that these Biden years are over.
Here's what he's making very clear. What I can say very certainly is that he is going to stand up for the United States and our security, whether that be national security, whether that be economic security, and we're not going to be pushovers any longer. We've seen what's happened with the continued Russian aggression in the Arctic Circle and near Greenland as that's become an increasingly powerful shipping lane. We've seen China expand their influence, whether that be in Central or South America. America. And right now, this is a massive national security risk that China could effectively just flip a switch and the canal would be shut down. This would cause massive chaos and massive havoc to the United States. President Trump is coming in, having done this before, having had this great set of results, looking at the entire chessboard, saying he is going to position the United States in a place where we can succeed. That includes securing our southern border, by the way, Martha, and making sure that folks, even neighbors, even friends such as the Canadians, are no longer taking advantage of us when it comes to economic or trade issues.
Which brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gulf of Mexico, or as President Trump likes to call it, the Gulf of America.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
It is appropriate. Or why shouldn't it be called the Gulf of America? I mean, I looked at the map, and more of the Gulf of Mexico borders America than it does Mexico. And I'm not really sure why it's ever been called the Gulf of Mexico. Probably some like liberal map maker, some liberal cartographer didn't want to offend the Mexicans back when he wrote the map, so he made it the Gulf of Mexico. But it's the Gulf of America is what Donald Trump wants to call it. And as a longtime Florida resident, I'm all for it. I would love to drive to Tampa, to St. Pete, get a hotel room, crack open a cold one, stick my toes in the sand, and watch the sunset over the Gulf of America. That would be amazing. And Donald Trump says, yeah, let's do it. Let's reassert our dominance in every way possible. Let's take back the canal that we never should have given away so that it doesn't fall into the hands of the Chinese and they control our military and our importing and exporting business. Let's not do that. Let's not let China and Russia hang out in Greenland and control all of the massive shipping lanes back and forth between Europe and the United States of America. That's probably not a good idea. Let's not do that either. Let's not allow Mexico and Canada, our supposed best buds and neighbors to the north and south, to take advantage of us economically. And if they do, let's do whatever we need to do to stop it. And if it involves renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, let's do that, because it's a beautiful name, isn't it?
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate.
Yeah.
It's appropriate.
It's beautiful. It's appropriate. And guess what? It looks great on a T-shirt. Because I immediately knew that when Donald Trump says something's going to happen, something's going to happen. And I immediately knew that the Gulf of America was going to be a thing. And you want to be ready for it. You don't want to be caught with your feet down. Your feet down. No, you don't want to be caught with your pants down. Your feet can be down, but your pants have to be up. And so I spent all morning with the design team at Kaye Media. I spent all morning with all of our merchandising people. And look, we were able to come up with a brand new design for the Mark Kaye Shop, the Gulf of America, the official Gulf of America t-shirt. And we created multiple different colors. There's the Gulf of America in this. I like this light blue. It's called Heather Ice Blue. I'm a big blue fan, except when it comes to, states. Gulf of America in gray, the Heather gray, the traditional white. All kinds of different varieties and all kinds of sizes, because I know we have various different sized Katriots all over the globe, but it's the Gulf of Mexico, formerly renamed the Gulf of America. We've even got the little compass there. So, and we've also got a dark mode, because I know a lot of people are dark mode people. So for my dark mode people, look at this. We did a dark blue with the Gulf of America in white, and of course there the United States in red, as it should be, Mexico in red, and we've got various different colors there. This one's called charcoal gray, which I'm a big fan of. There's black, and we even got a teal one in there. So if you want to be ready to support Donald Trump's initiative, oh, the olive is always nice too. You can get right now, we'll mail it out today, you can get your very own Gulf of America t-shirt. And like I said before, there's different varieties. We've got the dark mode. We've got the light mode. Let me go back here so you can see all of them. We've even got some women's. I always get complaints that we don't have enough women's clothing, because apparently there's a lot of women that like this show, which I appreciate. And everyone always wants a V-neck. So look, we have a ladies V-neck in black or in blue. So you can get the ladies V-neck, because women like the V-neck apparently. There's the women's cut, because a lot of people, they like the women are cut differently than men. Also in various different fashion colors. There's blue, there's pink, there's gray, there's white. There's all kinds of things like that. And if you want to get one of these, it's right there at markkaysshop.com. Just go to markkaysshop.com, and we put it conveniently at the top, located at the top. Now this is a limited edition design. This isn't going to be there forever. Probably just, until Donald Trump says something else that's t-shirt worthy. But the Gulf, we've already sold a bunch of them this morning. Go to markshop.com, and we've also added a coupon code. If you use coupon code TrumpWorld, you'll get 15% off because Trump is taking over the world. Basically, Donald Trump is like, America's great, but you know what else is great? Canada. We should make that part of America. Oh, and the Panama Canal, which was ours, we want that back. Oh, and Greenland. We want all these things. So I put a link to the shop directly in the description of this video. So if you're watching on Rumble or if you're watching on Facebook or if you're, orders are coming in. Great. We'll have to fulfill those right after the program. The Gulf of America t-shirt. This is the official Gulf of America shirt by the order of soon-to-be President of the United States, Donald Trump. And let me know, by the way, if you're a light mode or a dark mode person, because like I said, we've got both. We've got hoodies too. I made a hoodie too. But some people are really they like a dark mode. They're really into the darker fabrics and the darker colors. Some people really like light mode. So we have both. We have it, the white background and I've learned early on. You got to make both because someone will immediately say, "Why don't you have it in black?" And someone else say, "Why don't you have it in white?" And so we just try to appease. We try to appease everybody. MarkKShop.com is where you go to get yours. MarkKShop.com. Pick it out. Pick your size. Fill out the form, and we'll get it in the mail for you today so that you can be prepared for when inevitably now, because Donald Trump doesn't go back on his word. You can be prepared now for inevitably when Donald Trump changes the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. I want to end with one thing. Speaking of people who go back on their word, I'm sure you heard about this. This is Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook going back on his word. Mark Zuckerberg, this guy, man, I thought Lindsey Graham flip-flopped a lot, and I was right. He does. But Mark Zuckerberg, you want to talk about a guy who just changes with the weather. First of all, after Donald Trump got elected, he flew down to Mar-a-Lago. He donated a paltry $1 million to the transition, which if you're Mark Zuckerberg and you're one of the richest men in the world, I feel like you could probably, supply a little bit more cash to the transition. But then not only did he fly down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring, not only did he donate $1 million while he was there, but after that, he recently put Dana White, Donald Trump supporter, best friend, MMA aficionado, really the king of the sport, and also billionaire and conservative, on the board at Meta. And then yesterday, he released this video talking about the new censorship strategy or lack of censorship strategy on Facebook.
I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly.
Okay, so what he's doing here is he's basically priming you to announce that there's a different censorship policy being introduced at Meta. And that involves Facebook, and it involves Instagram, and it involves Threads. I don't know if anyone still uses Threads, and it involves all these other places where we've been shadow banned and demonetized and censored for no apparent reason. And he's trying to say now, look, a lot of governments and a lot of political people have been doing this, and he's trying to separate himself from having been involved in it, basically blaming the outgoing president, Joe Biden, for all of the censorship that all of these Meta users have experienced.
So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
Okay, now I have a little bit of experience with this. I will point that out once again about being fact-checked, about being demonetized, about being hit with these strikes and whatnot. as do most conservatives. I mean, anyone who's conservative, whether they're a podcaster or a live streamer or a radio host, TV host, it doesn't matter. I mean, Ben Shapiro, if you go on Ben Shapiro's Facebook page, he gets barely any traction. Why? Because nobody gets to see his posts. Same with us. We used to get millions and millions of views. Now we only get views from people who follow our page. We're not being recommended because we didn't have the right politics for Facebook. But now that Donald Trump is back in office, he sees it as a cultural shift, and they're getting back to their roots of free expression. What does that mean? That means that during the Joe Biden years, they were not allowing free expression. He's openly admitting it. He's going on there to say, hey, look, you know what? We had fact checkers and they made mistakes. I tussled with a couple of fact checkers. They did not feel like they made mistakes. I went toe to toe, and I had an emailed Twitter battle with an actual fact checker who told me something I said on my post was wrong. Facebook put a strike on it, demonetized my page. I contacted the fact checker directly, and we had the most ridiculous conversation. He told me if I changed an exclamation point to a question mark, he would take the fact check off of my page. Now, is that a mistake, or is that just a biased individual who is using their power to silence speech that they disagree with? Fun fact, the answer is B. Anyway, here's what he said.
More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes.
Okay, so he's basically saying we're going to rip off Elon Musk. We're going to rip off Elon Musk because Elon Musk seems to have figured it out. Elon Musk bought Twitter, changed it to X, let everyone back on the platform, including Donald Trump, and then said, we're not going to have fact checkers. We're just going to let you guys check it yourselves. Meaning, we're not going to tell you you're right or wrong. We're going to let other people offer contrary opinions, which is basically what free speech is all about. It's what debate is all about. If I say something and you disagree, the typical way, or the American way to do it, would be to say, hey, I disagree. Here's why. And then I could go, well, I disagree with that. Here's why. And we could have a spirited conversation. In Joe Biden's America, in the pre-Donald Trump America, it was, hey, I say something, you disagree, and then Facebook just deletes my account. So now he's like, we're going to go to community notes so that we're not going to necessarily strike anybody down or put them in Facebook jail or take away their access. We're going to let you guys just bicker amongst yourselves, which is how most people would rather have it.
Similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth.
Okay, the legacy media writing about disinformation being a threat to democracy is, I mean, to reference the legacy media writing anything about disinformation is, I mean, that's like, I don't even have a comparison for that. That's like eating all of the cookies and then telling somebody who stole all the cookies. That's even a horrible, I can't even think of a worse metaphor. The legacy media were the purveyors of misinformation and disinformation, and we know that. We know that because, well, we have Donald Trump back, and we've seen the Twitter files, and we've seen what happened with the Hunter Biden laptop story. We've seen all of this. We've seen the Russian collusion. We've seen how the media has lied about Donald Trump's supposed crimes, and they've bolstered these false statements. It is just, it's wild. And here comes Mark Zuckerberg saying, hey, look, we went along with what the media was reporting, and they said disinformation was a problem, so we were just trying to help.
But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created.
Okay, again, most of the fact checkers that were hired were from liberal think tanks. They were former campaign staff for liberal politicians and presidents. They were people who worked for liberal media and periodicals. Of course they were political. Not one fact checker that I ever came across, there may have been, worked for Fox News. Not one fact checker worked for Newsmax. I never came across a fact checker that worked on Donald Trump's campaign or, worked for, I don't know, George Bush. None of them. There was never a fact checker from the New York Post, for example. They were always from liberal organizations. So, gee, you think they're going to be a little biased?
In the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms.
Okay, I don't know what Donald Trump said to him over dinner, but it must have scared the you-know-what out of him, because he's changing his corporate philosophy for Facebook, Instagram, Threads, this is the largest social media network. I know YouTube's great, and I know Rumble's growing, and I know that all these other and X is huge, but nobody is bigger than Facebook. No one is bigger in the space than Facebook. Facebook and Instagram dominate together. They have more users than any other platform. And he's now changing his entire structure of the way that they censor and they monitor information based on a couple conversations with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. I'm telling you, elections have consequences. And Donald Trump getting elected president will end wars. It will save lives. It will make America stronger. It will bring down the price of gas. It will bring down the price of everything. It will put more money in your pocket. It will save hostages. It will make America larger. It will make other countries take notice, and it will save free speech. And entire multi-billion-dollar companies are not only investing in the United States of America, but they are changing their policies so that they can do what our forefathers guaranteed we would have here, and that is freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and not be punished because we disagree with whoever the CEO or the president of the United States happens to be at the time. Listen, I'm so excited for January 20th, I could spit. But I'm not going to. That's great. You already had to watch me blow my nose the other day, so I'm not going to spit because that would just be two disgusting things in 1 week. And I try to limit myself to one disgusting thing a week. That's my New Year's resolution. Just do one disgusting thing when I'm broadcasting live a week and not two. Trying to cut it down. And then next year we'll go back to 2. No, I'm kidding. We'll go to like 0. But anyway, listen, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks again for all the well wishes. We'll be back tomorrow with the 47 Daily in the morning. We'll do this podcast as well at noon, and make sure you guys are grabbing your shirts. Now, one thing I do want to remind you of, when you go to Mark Kaye Shop, and now's a good time to go because we're wrapping up, because we're getting some orders coming in. Like, for example, Shauna Jones ordered a shirt. Sherilyn ordered a shirt. Stu just got his, he got the Heather Ice Blue one that I mentioned. A lot of people are ordering your shirts. Make sure you're using the coupon code at the top. It's Trump World, and it gets you 15% off, and that's your entire order. So if you order one shirt, you get 15% off one. If you order 2 shirts, you get 15% off 2. The official Gulf of America t-shirt. Get your favorite. You can get the t-shirt. There's t-shirts. There's women's t-shirts. There's a V-neck. There are hoodies, because I know it's freezing. I know it's frigidly cold in the majority of the world. Here in Florida, too. Like right now, I'm wearing a hat. And I'm still cold. I want a hoodie. So get whatever you want. And if you want to get any of our other items, we still have the Brighter Future collection. We've got official Patriot gear, so you can gear up as an official Patriot. Whatever you get, you will get 15% off your entire order if you type in Trump World, all one word, Trump World, because Trump's taking over the world. And the rest of us are coming along for the ride. MarkKayShop.com. Make sure that you get your shirt as soon as possible, because this is not just a fun novelty t-shirt that shows the world that America is dominant. This is a clarion call, a beacon, if you will. It's a message to other Patriots far and wide that when they see you wearing this shirt, they're going to be like, Mark Kaye saves the Republic. Patriot. Yeah, I know you and I are vibing. I know you and I are aligned. I know you and I think the same, act the same. I know at noon Eastern, 11 Central, we're doing the same thing. And it's another great way for us to build our community of Patriots, build our army of American originalists, constitutionalists who are out there every single day, learning and thinking and talking and debating and fighting. Just like fight. That's what Donald Trump said. He didn't just mean it for the election. He meant fight through the election, fight on election day. And then once we win, we've got to continue to fight, so that we will all save the Republic, which, by the way, is ever expanding. We're fighting to save the Republic and also to grow the Republic. We're going to add Canada, Greenland, the Gulf of America, and also the Panama Canal. Get your shirts, MarkKayShop.com, and I will see you guys mañana.